Hello everyone. So today we are going to solve the paleontology 2025 questions in a row. So there are total 12 questions starting from 73 till 84, and the first question is, which one of the following events was instrumental in changing composition of Earth atmosphere? So this question is basically asking ki how there was this early reducing atmosphere and it just transformed into oxygen rich atmosphere. So, what was responsible for that? And what is the role of biological processes in atmospheric change? So, let me tell you, there is a story behind it, and that is the role of cyanobacteria. So, cyanobacteria was the first organism to perform oxygenic photosynthesis, that was CO2 and H2O. It released the organic matter and then the O2. This is organic matter and this is the oxygen. So they released free molecule oxygen into ocean first and then in the atmosphere later. Okay, so there was this great oxidation event that occurred around 2.4 billion years ago, and this was triggered by the prolonged oxygen released by the cyanobacteria. So there is a GOE, okay, and it resulted in oxidation of atmospheric gases. This results in the formation of BIF and in the development of oxidizing environment. So there is an appearance of cyanobacteria that is responsible for that. The whole story was based on this. Now we are going to come to the other options. Evolution of ब्रैकियोपोडा. जो ब्रैकियोपोडा थे, पहली बात तो वो बहुत लेट आए थे, वो कैम्ब्रियन में आए थे, CB या BC जैसे भी आपको याद करना हो. इनको ऑक्सीजन चाहिए सर्वाइव करने के लिए. सो ये ऑक्सीजन का रिजल्ट नहीं है, ये ऑक्सीजन का कॉज है कि ऑक्सीजन आई तब ये बने, इसकी वजह से ऑक्सीजन आई. नाउ वी हैव दिस एक्सटिंक्शन ऑफ ट्रिलोबाइट. ये तो एंड पर्मियन में आए थे, एंड पर्मियन में ये ख़त्म हुए थे. एक्सटिंक्शन इनका एंड पर्मियन में होता. और एक्सटिंक्शन ऑफ कॉनोडॉन्ट्स इज समथिंग दैट हैपन्स इन एंड. दिस हैपेंड इन एंड पर्मियन एंड दिस हैपेंड इन एंड ट्राइजिक. Okay. Now coming to the 74 question. A specimen of a species from the same locality where its holotype or syntypes are recorded is known as. So here we need to have this understanding of taxonomy and nomenclature. Okay, so we need to understand the type specimens, all the types, and their precise definitions in systematic paleontology. Like, so the specimen of species from the same locality, this is the keyword कि एक specimen of a species उठाया same locality से, where its holotype or syntypes recorded is known as what? So that is known as topotype. Topotype एक ऐसा specimen है जो same type locality से collect किया जाता है as the holotype or the original syntypes. It is used for the comparison, not for the nomenclature fixation. ये कब help करता है topotype? जब ओरिजिनल टाइप मटेरियल जो है डैमेज और इनएक्सेसिबल है, तो उसी सेम लोकेलिटी से दूसरा टाइप उठा लिया, दूसरा स्पेसिमेन उठा लिया, तो स्टडी के लिए चाहिए. तो टोपोटाइप इज दैट. पैराटाइप जो होता है, स्पेसिमेन दैट हैज़ बीन डिस्क्राइब्ड अलॉन्ग विद द होलोटाइप. होलोटाइप के साथ साथ जो स्पेसिमेन है वो डिस्क्राइब किया गया इन इट्स ओरिजिनल डिस्क्रिप्शन, बट इट इज़ नॉट डिफाइंड बाय द लोकेलिटी अलोन. ओके. लेक्टोटाइप इज स्पेसिमेन दैट इज लेटर सेलेक्टेड फ्रॉम सिनटाइप्स. लाइक सिनटाइप इज सेलेक्टेड and then they are later selected, like syntype select करने के बाद, तो उसको lectotype कहते हैं. It is a name bearing type. It is selection based, not locality based. Now there is plesiotype. It's a comparative specimen. It is not necessarily from the type locality. It has no formal nomenclature status. Okay. So holotype is the original name bearing specimen. Paratype is the additional specimen कि additionally उठा लिया. ठीक है. पैराटाइप हो गया. लेक्टोटाइप इज सेलेक्टेड लेटर आफ्टर सिनटाइप. टोपोटाइप इज ए स्पेसिमेन फ्रॉम द सेम लोकेलिटी. होलोटाइप के साथ साथ टोपोटाइप सेम लोकेलिटी से उठाया, बट पैराटाइप इज लाइक समथिंग दैट इज एडिशनल स्पेसिमेन इन ओरिजिनल डिस्क्रिप्शन बट माइट नॉट और बी फ्रॉम द सेम लोकेलिटी. नियोटाइप इज रिप्लेस्ड. देयर इज अनदर टाइप कॉल्ड नियोटाइप. इट इज रिप्लेसमेंट व्हेन टाइप लॉस्ट. when there is a holotype that is lost, then the neotype comes in. Okay. Now coming to the 75th question. Okay. So which one of the following brachiopod order, brachipod का order है, has strophic shell. So understanding the hinge line types, so strophicism is like, it helps us to understand whether there's hinge lines or not. So strophic shell is characterized by a straight hinge line. If I have to make a diagram, it's gonna look like, wait, it's gonna look like this. Okay, strophic shell is characterized by a straight hinge line equal or to greater than the maximum shell width, and it often produces a winged or extended lateral outline. So the right option is Spiriferida. Strophic hinge line, long, straight, prominent, wing line shell extension on the both sides, and they have typically ribbed shells all around them, and they possess a spiral brachidium spiralis supporting the lophophore. Because the hinge line is long and straight and often exceeding the shell width, Spiritifera are the textbook example of strophic brachiopods, while the other are the non-strophic ones. So they are non-strophic. Terebratulida is short and it has a curved hinge line. Okay, curved hinge line, and it is smooth and biconvex shells with a pedicle foramen, and the hinge line is shorter than the shell width. Then we have the Rhinoconallida. It has a strongly ribbed shells and short hinge lines with beak curvature and shell outline typically triangular. Then we have this last one. It is also a non-strophic one. It is rounded to oval shells and hinge line short and curved, although they have internal support, but the hinge is not straight and long. Okay, so mostly hinge line is the one that is coming in play. So let me tell you that this Spirifera is strophic and the other are non-strophic. Okay, now coming to the 76th question. Which one of the following represents the correct geological range of trilobites? So let me tell you why Cambrian to Permian is the correct one. So ट्राइलोबाइट सबसे पहले अब्रप्टली आए थे अर्ली कैम्ब्रियन में. ओके, सो दे आर द हॉल मार्क ऑफ कैम्ब्रियन explosion. Okay, early forms dominate the Caribbean Sea. Okay, now trilobites, they diversified extensively along the Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous. So they occupied many marine niches, whether they were benthic crawlers, burrowers, or swimmers. And the extinction is something that happened in the end Permian. Okay, the extinction has happened in end Permian. So trilobite declined after the Devonian, but persisted in reduced diversity. The last trilobite go extinct during the early this end Permian mass extinction. No trilobite occurred in the Mesozoic. So the correct range is the Cambrian to Permian. Okay, so Cambrian to Devonian is why this one is incorrect. This one is incorrect because trilobite did not go extinct in the Devonian. They survived through Carboniferous and Permian. Silurian to Permian, incorrect because trilobite originated earlier in the Cambrian, so they omit their first appearance. And Cambrian to Ordovician is incorrect because trilobite continued well beyond the Ordovician, as we can see over here. So yeah, if I have to make a chart, कैम्ब्रियन में सबसे पहला अपीयरेंस आया, मेजर रेडिएशन हुई. ऑर्डोविसन में पीक डाइवर्सिटी आई. सिलूरियन में कॉन्टिन्यू डाइवर्सिफिकेशन. डेवोनियन में मेजर डिक्लाइन. कार्बनिफेरस में लो डाइवर्सिटी और सर्वाइवर्स. एंड पर्मियन में फाइनल एक्सटिंक्शन. COSDCP. ओके, नाउ कमिंग टू दी 77 क्वेश्चन. गोनेटेटिक सूचर्स, वेरी इजी वन. जस्ट अ मिनट, I have this writer for this, so I'm gonna tell you the additional information as well. So yeah, the gonadotic sutures in cephalopods are characterized by what? So there is a thing, there are many sutures that are present in what? In cephalopods. Okay, so how come they're like? Let me tell you. Okay. Yeah, wait. Okay. So सूचर्स cephalopods के अंदर बहुत सारे हैं. They might be the most complex ones is the ammontic sutures. They look like this, ऐसे करके. Okay. And gonadotic sutures, I'm gonna tell you what it is like. It is like a sharp lobes and the rounded saddles. Okay. So let me tell you. सूचर लाइन क्या होता है? सूचर लाइन बेसिकली आपके सेप्टम और शेल वॉल के बीच का जंक्शन होता है. ठीक है. एंड इट इज़ समथिंग दैट इज प्रेजेंट इन cephalopods. Gonadotic sutures is the earliest one and it is present in the Paleozoic type of cephalopods. Then Ceratitic sutures is something that is present in Triassic, and Ammontic sutures is something that is present in Jurassic, and Cretaceous is the most complex one. So gonadotic sutures are the simplest. They have these lobes, okay, broad, smooth, rounded, and they have these saddles like that. So no serration. So it's a typical of early ammonoids. Sharp lobes and broad rounded lobes and saddles is the incorrect one. Okay. So what you need to remind in here is they have this sharp lobes, okay, and rounded saddles. Now coming to the 78th question. Which one? Oh, sorry. The Seringotheres limestone of Kashmir belongs to which one of the following periods? So that is, of course, the Carboniferous. Why so? Because wait. Yeah. Why Carboniferous is correct? Syringotheres is a Carboniferous index fossil. Syringotheres first of all ये है क्या? ये आपका ब्रैकियोपोड है. It has a restrictive stratigraphic range from late Mississippian to Pennsylvanian. Such restricted range marks it useful for age diagnosis. Syringotheres limestone is named after its index fossil. So these formations are named after. There is a characteristic lithology that is limestone, and Syringotheres is a diagnostic fossils. So they have this fixed age that is present in Carboniferous. Kashmir preserves the Paleozoic marine sequence, and Carboniferous in this region includes the marine limestone and abundant brachiopod fauna. So that is a thing. Okay. Now coming to the 79th question. Which one of the following statement is regarding the genus Pecten is correct? Okay. So Pecten. It is a free swimming monomerian bivalve. Free swimming. Pectens को एक और नाम से जाना जाता है जिनको कहा जाता है scallops. And these are nectonic bivalves. So they swim rapidly by clapping their valves together, and they expel the water through this jet propulsion system. So that makes them unique among the bivalves, which are typically sedentary or burrowing. So it is a free swimming. About the monomerian, they have one large, adductor muscle scar that is there. The muscle is powerful and it is responsible for rapid valve closure during swimming. So it is known as monomerian. Now we have these two situations correct, and then we have the another option. It is an infaunal monomerian bivalve. Infaunal is the one that lives buried in the sediments, and they use siphons. So, and if they are monomerian in nature, so that will have a name called siphons. Okay, Maya and Solen. These are the one infaunal one. That lives on the seafloor, but Pecten is swim actively. Okay, it's not informal. Then it is a free swimming monomerian brachiopoda. Pecten is a bivalve mollusk. Okay, brachiopods have a separate phylum. That situation is also incorrect. Now we have this infaunal isomerian bivalve. So isomerian bivalve means that they have two muscle scars of equal sizes, and that example is arca, not our Pecten. And Pecten has one dominant muscle. It is monomerian nature, not isomerian. So phylum is Mollusca, class is bivalve. It is free swimming. Adductor muscle is monomerian, and locomotion is valve flapping with each other and leading to the jet propulsion system. So option A is correct. Now coming to the 80th question, which one of the following is correct sequence of hominid evolution? So let us understand the option first. So we have this Australopithecus, 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 Australopithecus. एक तो फिक्स हो गया. Then we have what? Paranthropus. And Paranthropus इसके अंदर थर्ड में है, इसके अंदर सेकेंड में है. Then we know this one thing. Homo sapien is a recent one. Okay. And about the Homo erectus is the previous one. So if we take the majority of the things, so we need to make this elimination thing कि हाँ सिमिलैरिटी किस में है. होमो सेपियन दो में आ गया, पैरेंथोपस इसमें आ गया, होमो इरेक्टस एंड होमो इरेक्टस इसमें आ गया. सी ऑप्शन इज अलाइनिंग. नाउ विल कम इन द डिटेल. Australopithecus is something that survived around 4 to 2 million years ago, and it has this earliest habitual bipeds. Paranthropus is this robust side branch evolving after Australopithecus, and they have this specialized chewing. It is not ancestral to the modern human beings. Okay, now we have this Homo erectus. It is something, इसकी जो एज है वो 2.7 से 1.2 थी, और कहने का मतलब है कि ये ये एक रोबस्ट साइड ब्रांच थी, और they have this specialized chewing kind of thing in them, and it is not ancestral to the human beings. About the Paranthropus, then we have this Homo erectus. So they are first truly global hominin. Okay, and they have this large brain, and they have this endurance, walking, and control of the fire. So Homo erectus, like, they control the fire. They knew huge amount of walking they would do in a day. They have this large brain, and they are first truly global hominin. Then we have this Homo sapiens that's still present today, anatomically modern human beings. So let me tell you that Australopithecus was the earliest one. Then we have the Paranthropus and Homo erectus and Homo sapiens. So what you need to learn over here is, we have this Australopithecus, then we have this robust side branch, that is this one. Okay, now coming to the 81 question. Okay, so according to the record of human evolution, when was the fire used for the first time? So that question is a cultural evolution of hominins. Okay, so the first controlled use of fire is something that was just before, हमने अभी पढ़ा किसके साथ, Homo erectus के साथ. So the archaeological sites showing the evidence like burnt bones. कैसे पता लगा? We have this burnt bones, then we have this charcoals, we have this ash layers, heated stone. So Homo erectus, they just appeared around 1.9 million years ago. So the convincing fire use evidence dates about almost 1.5 to 1.0 million years ago. So the fire use marks a major evolutionary milestone. We came to know how cooking is done by improved nutrition. We have this warmth in the cooler climate. We have this protection from the predators and social organization around herds. So it's 1.5 million years ago. About 2 to 1.5 million, it is too early, and it corresponds to the Australopithecus and early Homo. So no reliable evidence of the controlled fire usage at this point. Around 35,000 years ago, we have Homo sapiens, Upper Paleolithic. Fire was well established back then, and it has this advanced cultural use, not fire use. And 10,000 years ago is Neolithic. So fire had been used for hundreds and thousands of years before. So gross underestimation of the antiquity. Okay, now coming to the 82 question. So which one of the following statement regarding foramen is correct? So let me tell you that foramen is an opening that connects the chamber in foraminifera. How come is that? A foramen is a small opening, and it is between the successive chambers, and through which the cytoplasm remains connected. As the organism grows, the new chamber is added in it, and older chambers stay physiologically active due to foraminifera. Now, functional importance is, it maintains the protoplasmic continuity. It allows the nutrient transfer, along with it metabolic exchanges, coordinated growth of test. So yeah, it's an opening that connects the chamber in foraminifera. Now we have this another statement. It is a monolamellar structure in foraminifera. Monolamellar, bilamellar, is the test wall structure, number of calcites in the shell wall. The foramen is not a wall but an opening. Now we have, it is a bimalar structure in foraminifera. Again, it represents growth plans of foraminiferal test. Growth plans refers to the coiling patterns that we get, but it is planispiral, trochospiral, uniserial. So these are controlled by the chamber arrangement that we get and test morphology. So foramen does not determine growth plan, it only connects chamber. Okay. Now we have the 83 question. This question was somewhat marked by the UPSC not to solve it, so we are not gonna solve this. Now coming to the 84 question, which one of the following group of forces is used for biostratigraphic subdivision of Mesozoic time? So what is happening over here is कि कौन सा ग्रुप ऑफ फोर्सेज है जो मेसोजोइक टाइम का बायोस्ट्रेटिग्राफिक सबडिविजन डिसाइड करता है? Cephalopods. These are especially ammonoids. They fulfill the criteria of the index fossil. Why ammonoids? Because they evolved extremely fast. They have this shell shape in it, ornamentation, suture patterns, fine scale subdivisions of time. We have this short stratigraphic range. Individual ammonoid species, they only existed for a very short period of time, and they are ideal for defining the biozones and substages, and they have this wide geographic distribution. So nectonic free swimming organisms spread across entire ocean, enabling global correlation. They have this excellent preservation, hard calcareous shell abundant in marine sediment in Mesozoic, and the classic Mesozoic fossil is ammonoid. Ammonoid dominate in the Jurassic and Cretaceous. So cephalopod is that. Brachiopods, they have this long stratigraphic range. This shows the evolutionary rates that we know. But many species persist from Paleozoic to Mesozoic. So poor resolution for the time subdivision. Now foraminifera is something excellent index fossil for the Cenozoic, Paleogene, Neogene, etc. But in Mesozoic they were less diverse and less rapidly evolving than ammonoids. Now coming to the trilobites. Trilobites is restricted to Paleozoic era, and they got this extinct at the end Permian, so they do not occur in the Mesozoic at all. Okay, so with this I'm gonna end this video. I hope you liked the lecture and got some idea, and you will gonna work more on it to have more information. So yeah, thank you.